Parliament Square was really crowded, thousands and thousands of demonstrators, an amazing sight. The sight of thousands shouting against the politicians in the House of Commons made me feel very happy indeed. For me, that was a victory. We had achieved what many years ago people would have seen as a crazy idea. The union between trade unions and students had become a reality, a force that was capable of changing the political landscape of England. As soon as I got to Parliament Square, I wanted to explore the place, discover who the other protesters were. So I walked towards the centre, and there I saw the coalition resistance. Many people, thousands, united against the government plans. Right at the centre there was a group of people who were giving speeches. I wanted to listen to what they had to say, so I stood there and listened.
But the leadership that young people are giving might make the TUC get off its knees. As you're aware, there's a huge campaign about to be waged within every trade union for the build-up to the march on the 26th of March. But that demo should have been called earlier. And they say they don't have the money. They also don't inform us that every year claimants are underpaid by £16 billion a year. That works out at £60 a week, unclaimed and unpaid. This government is a government of the ruling class. It's for their class, and they hate our class.
The trade union movement sees this as part of an ideological attack, not only on students, but on the whole working class. It's quite clear when there's billions of pounds in tax avoidance and tax evasion, when the government can finance illegal wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, and of course we can pay £100 billion to renew a useless Trident nuclear weapon that can only kill workers in other countries. They say there's no money for education. And of course, the hypocrisy of it is that most of these people that are sitting in Parliament today didn't have any form of fees to pay when they went to university. It was actually free, and they got a government grant to subsidise the university education, and not a coalition that wants to attack workers and students.
The speakers spoke about the funding of illegal war, waste of human and financial resources that could help people access higher education and thus a better life. I was really happy to be there. I really felt a part of my generation. Although I had no idea who the protesters were or where they came from, I was very relieved and happy to see them. Those were the voices of ordinary people who feared a government from the ruling class. There was really big society, a coalition of people from all walks of life, united against poverty and the idea of making education an expensive product. I was very impressed to see parents with their children. To me, that was history in the making. Further away from the speakers, there were thousands of protesters, both students and workers, young and old, and many were standing and gazing towards the entrance of Westminster Palace. Others were holding banners with pictures of Nick Clegg and David Cameron. Somewhere in the city, life was business as usual. The crowds, the cars, the cameras still flashing. Those who came to London to explore the city were free to wander around. Places such as St James's Park, still crowded, hundreds of visitors feeding the ducks and other animals that live in the park. While tourists enjoyed the sunshine at St James's Park, we were waiting for one of the biggest decisions in British history. The cuts of essential grants and the increase of tuition fees will have massive implications on a social level, and we were there to stop that from happening. Around 4:30 p.m, people realised that although it was still daylight, they were already being kettled. The police were not very clear about this, and when people tried to get out of Parliament Square, they were told to look for an exit on the opposite side of the square, and when they got there, they were told to go to the opposite side again. The police were doing this in order to have people walking around, but they also said that nobody would leave the square until the crowd had calmed down.